year.
Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and this is race number 2 in the 2019 NOFSRL Craftsman Throwback Series. We are here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the World 500. It is the longest race of the season for these guys at 67 laps. Pretty long for a series like this, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it tonight. We will have pit stops in tonight's race as well. And on top of that, this is a very special event. It is the 800th race run on Napa Fan here tonight. So a pretty big deal, hitting a milestone here tonight with the Craftsman Throwback Series and their marquee event of the season. This is definitely the biggest event they're going to have all year long, the longest event, and it's definitely going to be a fun one here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. On the pole is Trey Bartow in the number 14. Last week in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, he grabbed his 7th career Cup Series victory at North Wilkesboro. He's fresh off of that victory right there. This is the first time Bartow's run since that race, and he is going to lead the field of the green flag here tonight for this big one here tonight at Charlotte. What we're going to expect in this race, these guys kind of spread out a little bit, especially once we get a green flag cycle of pit stops, and we'd expect a green flag cycle of pit stops to happen in this race. We could easily go caution-free here tonight, and definitely is going to turn out to be a very fascinating race as this thing turns out, and it's going to be fun once we get to the finish of this race because there's only going to be a few guys left in contention for the win, especially if it goes green the whole way through, so you got to get up front early on, and you got to be up front when the first cycle of green flag pit stops begins, because if you're not, you might not have a good shot at winning this race. After last week here in the Craftsman Throwback Series, Nathan Stapleton surprised us all and grabbed the race victory at North Wilkesboro after he took tires midway through the race and just sliced through the field in his number 62 machine. He holds the points lead after the first race of the season, 40 points towards the championship for him. Now, Julius Anderson led the most laps in that race, and with that, he actually got the bonus points enough to be second in the points, even though he finished third in the first race of the season. He is 4 points behind. Zachary Fitzwater, runner-up last week, is 5 points behind. Riley Sampson, first-time driver to Napa Fan, 7 points behind, and Jonathan Rames, 8 points behind, coming into today's event. Trey Bartow in the number 14, starting on the pole position here today. Like I said, he got that win in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series race last week at North Wilkesboro. He's alongside the number 88 machine of Noah Clifton, who is going to be racing in this year's Indianapolis 250. He'll be flying back there tomorrow for Carb Day. And going to be interesting transition for him in this race because he's been used to driving those Indy cars around that 2.5-mile racetrack at top speeds of 230 miles per hour. This is a little bit different here at Charlotte in these stock trucks. Marty Johnson, he's also going to be in the Indianapolis 250 as well. You can relate to Noah Clifton there. He's alongside the 72 machine, that truck driven by Agar Barretta, who's also going to be in the Indy 250. Then we got ourselves the number 23 machine of Christopher Alphaby. Okay, I probably should mention the guys who are not in the Indy 250 because this guy's also in that race. Riley Sampson, however, isn't in the Indianapolis 250. This is Sampson's only race during Indy 250 week. Row number 4, 66 of Gatlin Downey, alongside the 84 of Matt Tuck, and then row number 5, it's the 52 of Fisher G, and the 10 of Thomas Troxel. Troxel going to be in the Indy 250 on Saturday. Everyone's rolling off, ready to get this one started. The World 500 in the Craftsman Throwback Series. It's the marquee event of the year for these guys, and it's going to be a fun one here from Charlotte with the pit stops, the pit strategy, the race strategy. We just don't know what to expect here when we come to Charlotte. Green flag in the air for the World 500 on this Thursday night. Just like they started. Double wide throughout the entire field, but Marty Johnson with the bonus point towards the championship in the number 46. Bartow slipping up just a little bit on the outside lane. He's going to keep it together for now. Here comes Christopher Alphaby. Alphabee's first career start came in an IndyCar, but transitioning to the stock truck is definitely an interesting one for him, and we'll have to see what he does in this race. Of course, it's going to be in the Indianapolis 250. His mind has been set on that for a long time, but this is the fastest he's ever gone in a stock car, and going to be interesting to see what he does on the inside of Trey Bartow, but he's going for the race lead. He seems to have this down pretty well so far, and he's going to push Marty Johnson up the racetrack just a little bit, but Johnson has a good advantage right now. He seems to be blocking both lines of traffic and holding onto the race lead. Trey Bartow on the outside lane doing pretty good. The outside lane seems to be working pretty well on these stock trucks here tonight, and it might work well throughout the entire event, so we might be deadlocked throughout the entire field for quite a bit here tonight in the World 500. Johnson's going to lead his third straight lap. Here comes Alphabee and the number 23 to the inside for the race lead. Trey Bartow might get shuffled out of line 3 wide, and he will. He's been dealing with a tight race truck there in the number 14 after starting on the pole position. Fisher G and Noah Clifton get to the inside of him. The number 17 of Sebastian Cucalon as well, but he files in ahead of Edgar Barreto on the outside lane. There is definitely no gap in the field right now. The downforce on these machines keeps them going pretty much full throttle throughout the entire field, and they have not lifted from each other at all in this race. Alphabee is going to get a lap lead and a bonus point towards the championship in the number 23. Here comes Scotland Downey for second on Marty Johnson. This is going to be a little bit different than what we're going to see Saturday night in the Coke 600. They're going to spread out a lot more in those Cup cars. They don't have near as much downforce as these guys, so they're going to be going a little bit faster than the trucks. But what we're seeing right now is extremely tight racing, and Marty Johnson back to the inside for the race lead. Johnson looking very strong so far here in the World 500. Back to the inside for the race lead on Christopher Alphabee. And Zach Winkle moving his way through the field. Did a great job in the Wilkes 300. I believe he finished in the 6th position, and he's going 3 wide for second now as Alphabee gets shuffled out of line in the 23. And Winkle with a very aggressive move there on the inside, and he did a really good job in his first career start. Looking to back that up here tonight on the high banks of Charlotte. Edgar Barreto, Trey Bartow back on the inside lane. The number 7 machine of Nicholas Samadeo is here as well. Samadeo and Bartow, both of these guys highly experienced veterans. Samadeo is going to be in the Indianapolis 250. But Samadeo almost won the Coke 600 last year. Well, after he won the Indianapolis 250 last year. So Samadeo is pretty good around this racetrack. However, Nicholas Samadeo in a truck here at Charlotte. You might remember a Napa Truck Series race we had here a couple of years ago. He hit the glitch and flew through the air, driving number 88. And of course, Samadeo has been a staple in the Truck Series, and that's why he's here in the Throwback Series this year, because this is technically the Truck Series for 2019. At least we think it is. We have no clue, but either way, Nicholas Samadeo is the only driver on Napa Fan to actually hit the glitch on this racetrack. You might see the glitch, and it's right there through the second dog leg. If they're going sideways on the racetrack at a certain point, they'll kind of hit a glitch and just shoot up the racetrack. Well, not up the racetrack, up the air, and fly around, do some twirls, kind of like a ballerina, basically. It's only happened once on Napa Fan. It's happened to Nicholas Samadeo in a truck, so watch over that in this race, just in case it might happen. It happens a lot on other channels and other series, but it doesn't really happen too often here on Napa Fan, thankfully, because we usually don't get many wrecks here of the Charlotte Motor Speedway, which I like. And so far, we haven't had many leaders in this race. Only Christopher Alphabee and Marty Johnson have led laps so far, but they've switched off twice in this race. Alphabee to the inside of Fisher G and the yellow. Okay, I know I just said we don't get many wrecks here at Charlotte, but we got one right there. And Julius Anderson, after he thought he had the race in the bag at North Wilkesboro last week, going to get involved in this one, and the 48 machine of Derek Hamill also with some damage. Derek Hamill's going to be in the Freedom 50 tomorrow. As a matter of fact, both of these guys are going to be in the Freedom 50 tomorrow, so a lot of guys going back to Indianapolis after tonight is done to race in the Indy 250 week special events there, so we'll have to see how it all goes down. Alphabee won the race back to the line. It might be a good opportunity for these guys to come down the pit lane to avoid there being an issue with fuel in this race. It should be about a 2-stop race for these guys, considering it is 67 laps here tonight. Alphabee is going to remain in the 3rd position, and he's going to let Edgar Barreto and Trey Bartow just file ahead of him as they come down the pit lane. And that's something we get here at Charlotte, is they actually come into the pit lane out of order sometimes. I gotta be honest with you, I do not know why the 72 and the 14 are where they are. Last lap around. Okay, Barretto. Okay, gotcha. Barretto was second and Barto was third. Never mind. I thought they were like deep in the field. Didn't see him on the leaderboard there. But Igor Barretto leads the field down the pit lane. Bit of an advantage there because Alphabet could not get back in line to the lead, and that's how they come down the pit lane. He's got Trey Barto right behind him. And the first pit stop of the night for these guys. First pit stop ever in the Craftsman Throwback Series for 2019. And it looks like a lot of these guys are going for tires. You see the 72 there with some right sides. I'd expect a 4-tire stop for all these guys. I wouldn't think strategy would come into play too much, but it's going to. Igor Barretto. Ooh, I think Barto won. Depends on where the line officially is, but I think Barto beat out Igor Barretto at the line. And if he did, he will lead the field back to the green flag when we restart here at Charlotte. But it's either going to be Barretto or the 14. Of course, Alphabet, who was the race leader, took 4 tires, so he wouldn't have come out the leader anyway, even though he came in behind Igor Barretto and Trey Barto. So didn't really lose anything because he took 4 tires. Those guys would have gotten out ahead of him regardless. And Barto did win the race off the pit lane. How about that for the veteran driver? He is going to finally lead a lap in this race, actually. He started on the pole. He's yet to lead a lap in this one, but he'll get a bonus point under the caution after he won the race off the pit lane. So great job there by Trey Barto, grabbing a bonus point towards the championship here in the Craftsman Throwback Series. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution of the night here in the World 500. And race number 2 of the 2019 NOFSRL Throwback Series. Rather simple incident here to bring out the first caution of the night. We've seen some pretty big wrecks at this racetrack in the past. They don't wreck frequently, but when they do wreck, it's usually pretty big. Not the case with this one, thankfully. Derek Campbell just got shuffled out of line, got pushed into Julius Anderson, through the dog leg, and in the outside wall went the 48. Thankfully, this happened at the back of the field. You see number 24 there of Andrew Ross avoid this. Fitzwater's in the grass. The 35 of Ian Adams was in the grass as well, but everyone else avoided it. And Derek Campbell going around off the front bumper of Julius Anderson on lap 11. 3 wide, entering turn number 3. We've seen it happen a few times throughout the night. They've usually been able to figure it out. Not in this case. I think Nathan Faden got into Hamill just a little bit, sent him up into Julius Anderson, but regardless, a very minor accident here at Charlotte. But not minor enough to avoid the yellow, and it's going to give a break to Trey Barto, who won the race off the pit lane, taking 2 tires on his pit stop. He barely beat out Igor Barretto at the line. We'll have to see what the veteran driver does, looking for his 16th career Napa fan win here tonight in the World 500 at Charlotte. We are back here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for tonight's presentation of the World 500 from Charlotte. Trey Barto, the race leader, in the number 14 here in the Craftsman Throwback Series. Igor Barretto, the 18 machine. He went on a little bit of strategy right there. Nick Smith up to the 3rd position. Jonathan Rames is in 4th, and the number 17 of Sebastian Cucalon rounds out the top 5, followed by Zach Winkle, Nicholas Amadio, Christopher Altheby, who won the race back to the line. I believe he took 4 tires on his pit stop. The 66 machine of Gatlin Downey. And then Matt Tuck rounding out the top 10 here for the first restart of the night in the World 500 at Charlotte. Every driver is still on the lead lap after the incident between Julius Anderson and Derek Campbell. So everyone basically still has a shot at the race victory here tonight as we come to 53 laps to go here at Charlotte. This time Trey Barto gets a pretty good jump on the restart, but Barretto's right behind him, and that 72 might find a way to the inside. There he goes for the race lead on lap 15. He's going to have the inside lane entering turn number 3. And help from Nick Smith and Jonathan Raines and everybody else behind him. Barto's left out to dry on the outside lane. Igor Barretto is going to lead lap 15 in a blown engine on Casey Russell on the 43 as they came to the restart. That is a tough break there for the development driver to Christian Russell. Christian Russell, I should say, is going to be in the Indianapolis 250 on Saturday. Casey Russell going to finish last here tonight in the World 500 after a blown engine on that number 43 machine. Top break form, 35 drivers left in the race, and they're led by Nick Smith in the number 18. Jonathan Rains, Nicholas Samadillo in the 7 on the inside lane. Christopher Alphabet Fisher G on the inside. And that is the number 10 of Thomas Troxel moving his way through the field as well. Troxel's one of these guys, I can't remember if he's gotten a win before. I think he has. Came in the Rockstar Pro Series last year at Indianapolis, but other than that, that's his only career win on Napa Fan. Development driver, or the brother, I should say, to Abe Troxel, who raced back in the day. He's actually racing right now still in the Rockstar Pro Series. But Thomas Troxel, number 10, I believe, he only has one career Napa Fan win. He's come close a couple times in the IndyCar Series, but here in the Throwback Series, he's got a good shot in the number 10 machine. He's also got a good shot on Saturday. He got a fast car in the Indy 250, so we'll watch out for that. But right now, he's inside the top 10 here in the Craftsman Throwback Series at Charlotte. Looking pretty strong right now. He's moved his way through the field. Nick Smith still out front. Jonathan Rains still second. Nicholas Samadillo trying to get the inside of Rains. Not going to do so. Top 3 single file right now in lap 18. And Nick Smith holding on to the race lead. Nick Smith's going to be in the Indy 250 as well. Like half of these drivers in this series are going to be in the Indianapolis 250. Jonathan Rains to the inside. A push from Nicholas Samadillo. He's going to get the jump there on Nick Smith. What I'd like to see in this race is this actually stay green and the field spread out because of green flag pit stops, because I'm not a big fan of this cycle racing that we see here right now. It's not complete cycle racing. I've seen it much worse than this before, but it's definitely pretty predictable. But not entirely predictable. We can kind of figure out what's going to happen for the most part, but sometimes they surprise us. And Jonathan Rains pulling away a little bit here as they're side by side for second. And Alphabet on the fresh tires is moving his way through the field. Fisher G. Thomas Troxel on the inside behind him, and Alphabet's going to drive right by Jonathan Rains right here. I can tell he's got the inside entering turn number 3. Alphabet might be the guy to win this race here tonight. He seems to have a very strong truck in that number 23 machine. He was dueling with Marty Johnson in the first green flag run. Marty's fallen back since. Here comes Fisher G. back to the inside for the race lead. He's not going to let Alphabet hold on to the race lead for too long. Nicholas Samadillo also on the inside. Now Samadillo's going to look to the inside. I believe Samadillo drives the only unsponsored truck in this series, and that's pretty cool right there to see the unsponsored number 7 get to the inside, but he might not lead this lap. Fisher G on the outside lane, gonna lead lap number 21. Cool angle here, the spectator cam. Never really used it in a race before, but you get a really good view of the start-finish line. We might use that at the finish of this race, but you can see the side-by-side battle here between Fisher G and Nicholas Samadillo from the spectator view, and this is a very good camera angle here at Charlotte. I just discovered this a couple days ago, and fresh new perspective on the racing action here at Charlotte. Nicholas Samadillo will clear for the race lead, and lap number 22 is going to go to driver number 7, the veteran Nicholas Samadillo. Got Thomas Troxel there. Matt Tuck's on the inside lane. The 41 is up here as well. That truck is driven by Keyshawn Richardson, and Nicholas Samadillo is not the only unsponsored driver in the field. Keyshawn Richardson also has an unsponsored truck, and this guy back here as well. And number 93, driven by Alexander Rowe. Alexander Rowe, a highly experienced driver, driving that number 93 this season. And, of course, Keyshawn Richardson's got some experience. He's never won before on Napa Fan, but tonight could be the night. He's running 4th right now in that number 41, and we'll have to see if he has a shot at Nicholas Samadillo for this race lead here in a few laps. He's pushing Thomas Troxel to 2nd. Great run for Troxel. He's been slowly moving his way through the field very well in that number 10 machine. And 3 wide, Riley Sampson in the middle of Matt Tuck and Zach Winkle. And Winkle to the inside of Sampson. Both of those guys were first-time starters last week in North Wilkesboro, and for the majority of the event, they ran top 5. And Thomas Troxel to the inside of Nicholas Samadillo for the race lead. Troxel's got the help from Keyshawn Richardson. Richardson pushing the 10 past the number 7 of Nicholas Samadillo. New leader at Charlotte, it's Thomas Troxel. And by the way, we're only in lap 25 of 67. These guys go slower than the Cup guys, so a good race to compare this to time-wise would be the Texas race in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, but you got to remember, they go faster in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, and Texas is actually a slightly faster track than Charlotte as well for those guys. And with the CTS physics here, the high downforce, they're practically full throttle around this racetrack, and we will have tire wear. So once those tires wear out, the full throttle will not be an occurrence, as much of a frequent occurrence, I should say. These guys go slower, so it's going to take a while to get this race through. I mean, it's the longest race of the season for these guys, practically an endurance race for a truck, at least on Napa Fan. That's actually the longest race we've ever done in a truck on Napa Fan before. Normally, the Truck Series race here is 27 laps. This race here is 67 laps. So, you know, definitely a lot different than what these trucks are used to here in the Charlotte Motor Speedway. But Nicholas Amadeo is pretty used to long races. He won the longest race we do every year last year, and he's back to the inside of Thomas Troxel for the race lead. I mentioned Zach Winkle earlier on. He's a guy you definitely got to watch out for here tonight. He's been running exceptionally strong in the number 15, and he's just second to the inside of Thomas Troxel. Riley Sampson, Fisher G looking strong, Nick Smith. The same guys have been running up front pretty much this entire race, but one guy was actually in the back earlier on and moving his way through the field. We didn't really mention him last week at North Wilkesboro, but Ian Adams, only his second career Napa Fan start here tonight on the inside lane, making some moves back in there, trying to work his way to the front. Gatlin Downey's back here. Marty Johnson, who led a majority of the first green flag run of this race, and another battle for the race lead. And I mentioned Zach Winkle, well, had a good reason for that. Back to the race lead. Actually, first time in the race lead for Zach Winkle. His first lap led on Napa Fan right there. Lap number 28 here at Charlotte. Guy behind him, Riley Sampson. Now, Sampson ended up finishing in the 4th position last week in North Wilkesboro. And both Riley Sampson and Zach Winkle surprised us, and they are surprising us again. Both rookies in Napa Fan. Both in their second career Napa Fan starts here tonight. Both 1-2. And like I mentioned, both of these guys were in the top 5 a majority of the day at North Wilkesboro last week. So they are definitely real deals here on Napa Fan. And they are definitely showing their stuff right now. Sampson trying to close in on Zach Winkle for the race lead. And he's got the run to the inside of the number 15. Here comes Sam Adeo. Sam Adeo's been in the top 5 for a long time right now in the number 7. And I believe he was a guy who took 2 tires on that pit stop as well. So he's making that strategy work out pretty well for the number 7 team. Here's another guy who's going to be in the Indianapolis 250. Dan Park in the 4 out of nowhere is inside the top 5 now as he pushes Riley Sampson past the number 15 for the race lead. They're side by side down the backstretch, and Sampson's got the advantage on Winkle and help from Dan Park. And the number 12 of the race lead here at Charlotte's going to be Sampson's first lap lead in his career if he crosses the line first, and he will for lap 31. Seen a lot of passing so far here tonight, and this whole pack is still separated by only 2.8 seconds. 34 drivers, 2.8 seconds on a mile-and-a-half racetrack, and we've been green for almost 20 laps now. They are just not pulling away from each other. The downforce is unbelievable on these machines, and it just keeps them right on each other. Now, one guy who has fallen off, and it's because of the damage he accumulated from the accident, that's Derek Hamill in the 48, and he will be a factor later on, especially if this thing stays green. Dan Park and Zach Winkle battling for second. Keyshawn Richardson and Nicholas Amadeo battling for 4th. Christopher Alphabet to the inside of Nick Smith. That is for the 6th position. Here comes Troxel back to the inside. Igor Barreto, Marty Johnson back up here. Hello to my man, Jesse Turner in the number 99. It's been a long time since Turner's won a race on Napa Fan. He was practically non-existent at North Wilkesboro. Actually started last in the first race of the season. He finished 19th in that event. He's trying to move his way through the field here about midway through the pack right now. The number 99. The pole sitter, Trey Bartow, has fallen off pretty significantly. He's actually at the end of the pack right now, the number 14. And you got to think, only 2 guys are really out of contention for this race. Derek Hamill, who is about to go a lap down here, and then Casey Russell, who's blown his engine. And look at where Trey Bartow is, 32nd right now. After starting on the pole, running up front at the first part of this race, he must not have gotten a good pit stop or either got stuck in the outside lane. But either way, it's not been a good run for Trey Bartow so far in this race after winning his first Chick-fil-A Cup Series race in 2.5 years last week at North Wilkesboro. He didn't really do much in the throwback race at North Wilkesboro, but he did pretty good in the throwback race of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series at North Wilkesboro. We're halfway through the World 500 at Charlotte in the Craftsman Throwback Series of the NOFSRL. And here comes Dan Park, looking to become the next leader of this race. To the inside of Riley Sampson for the race lead. Sam Adeo and Zach Winkle battled for the 3rd position. Thomas Troxel back inside the top 5. Alphabet trying to move his way through the field again. Nick Smith, Igor Barreto, Keyshawn Richardson all running up front here in this race. And around, Nicholas Samadeo in the outside wall, and they're going to jam it up off of turn number 4. It's a junkyard here at Charlotte. That was the absolute worst place to have an accident. Off of turn number 4, Samadeo got spun off by Dan Park. I believe it was Dan Park who spun him off there, and a massive accident here at Charlotte. A lot of guys caught up in this one. And that's what I was saying. When we wreck here at Charlotte, it's big. We don't wreck here frequently, but when we do wreck, let me tell you, it is massive. That's a tough break for Nicholas Samadeo. He was dominating fairly well in this race. He's been running top 5 majority of the event. He's going to get sent right to the back of the field. I don't think he's going to get knocked out, but like Derek Hamill, he's probably not going to be running too well. Fisher G is done. You got that much smoke trailing your race car, you're not going to be continuing on. And I'm wondering if green flag pit stops were about to begin right there, and I think it was Dan Park who got to the inside of Samadeo, was coming down. Samadeo did not expect it, and they got into each other entering the corner, or exiting, I should say. Get my prepositions correct here. Actually, no, those are verbs. I haven't done English like that in so long, I really don't know anymore. But with those guys exiting turn 4 with the pit lane right there, it does appear that Samadeo and Dan Park had a miscommunication, and it didn't work out too well for him. Jonathan Rains wins the race off the pit lane. I'm wondering if he actually made his pit stall, because he is way out ahead of everybody else there. Zach Winkle, Riley Sampson, Dan Park, and Nick Smith, the top 5. I'll have to check and see if Jonathan Rains even made a pit stop, because I don't know if he did. How far ahead he is ahead of Zach Winkle, who was second off, and I believe Winkle just took 2 tires, so we'll have to see how it all plays out as this race goes along. A lot of these guys were involved in the accident, but they kind of just slid right into it and spun around. I don't think many guys are going to get knocked out from it. You do see Sebastian Kukulon with heavy damage to the front end of his race truck. Not exactly what Kukulon wanted to see in this one. 75 machine there as well. That is Adam Lewis. Yeah, we got to review this one because there's a lot to review. And the second crash of the night here in the World 500, Nicholas Samadeo going around in the number 7 here in the World 500 at Charlotte. Would like to make a formal apology to Dan Park. I forgot that he was ahead of this at the time. It was actually Thomas Troxel, and I think Samadeo was trying to come down the pit lane, and Thomas Troxel was to the inside of him, and you see right there, I think Christopher Alphaby avoids this. Samadeo get pushed into the outside wall. Heavy hit for Samadeo. And then Troxel getting in the Fisher G. Marty Johnson, the 86 machine of Larry Hagan as well. And then Jonathan Rains. Jonathan Rains was heavily involved in this accident. He is not the race leader because I think he had already come down the pit lane. He spun Friesen around, got into Alexander Rose, Stapleton's around, Andrew Ross is around. The 50 machine totaled back in there. Austin Johnson, 2 weeks in a row for him. I think Fitzwater's in the mess. So many drivers in the mess there. So many guys involved here at Charlotte. Landon Lyons driving through the grass right there. The number 3 machine of Edwin Mendez. Gatlin Downey as well. And I think Jesse Turner here in the 99 might have gotten into Nathan Faden. No. I remember seeing Fisher G get spun around later on in the accident. I'm wondering if he hit somebody, and it might have been Jonathan Rains, of all people. Most of these guys were able to drive away. Austin Johnson was unable to. And you know what? Austin Johnson might be the only guy involved in an accident that wasn't able to drive away. Everyone else was able to drive away. I think a couple guys will be knocked out. And right here, Adam Lewis got into Fisher G and tapped him around. And with that, that destroyed Fisher G's motor. And then Kukulon's going to hit him right here as well. And that might end Kukulon's day. Shane Lake avoids this in the 25. A little bit tapped there by Carter Friesen. Trey Barjo was in the mix of all this. But for the most part, everyone else avoided Fisher G. He was spun after the caution to come out and after the crash occurred. Going to replay this from our spectator cam. And you see Troxel getting in the Samadeo right in turn number 4. All these guys jamming it up. Carter, Friesen, Stapleton, Ross. Bartos stopped. Fitzy went around. A lot of guys just went around and did not accumulate too much damage. A 60 machine of John Arndt, who won his 17th career race yesterday at Indianapolis. He's also going to be in the Freedom 50 tomorrow. If he were to win this race, win tomorrow, and win Saturday night here at Charlotte, he would become the all-time winningest driver on NAPFan. Now, 17 career wins for John Arndt after he won yesterday in the IROC Series. He's going for win number 18 tonight. I don't think he's going to get it. He'll go for win number 18 tomorrow as well. And if he doesn't win tomorrow, going for win number 18 in the Coke 600. But if he does so, he'd tie Caleb Hoffman on the all-time wins list. So watch out for John Arndt here, guys. He could easily take that all-time winningest driver trophy away from Garrett Sonor this year, because Sonor's not been doing too good. He's only in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. John Arndt is in this series and the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. He's got a lot more opportunities to win. And he also won in the IROC Series, too. So John Arndt might have an upper hand to possibly become the all-time winningest driver on Epifan this year. We'll have to see. It has been Garrett Sonor for many years, actually a couple of years, that Garrett Sonor has held that title, and it could change this year with John Arndt. Just saying. He does have a little bit of damage from the accident. Nicholas Samadeo highly involved in that one, but the only guy who's going to get knocked out might be Fisher G, Sebastian Kukulon, and Austin Johnson. But we will review and see which drivers get knocked out from the accident. Let's go ahead and get to the restart. The leader of the race, I do believe, is Zach Winkle in number 15, because I think Jonathan Rames had already been down the pit lane to repair damage. He'll be on the tail end of the lead lap. So Zach Winkle going to lead the field with the green flag here in the World 500 for our second restart here at Charlotte. Would like to make another formal apology. Jonathan Raines is the race leader. He was involved in an accident, just came down the pit lane for fuel. I don't know how well that's going to work out for him, but Jonathan Raines, the new race leader here in the World 500. Going to restart here with 27 laps to go. So we're closing in on this thing. About 2/3 of the way through it here at Charlotte for the Craftsman Throwback Series in the World 500. Jonathan Raines, Zach Winkle, Riley Sampson. Riley Sampson has a bit of damage there, I do believe, on the left side of his race car. Dan Park, Nick Smith, Ian Adams. Be something if Ian Adams were to pull off a race victory here tonight. Keyshawn Richardson, Christopher Altheby in the number 3 machine of Edwin Mendez with Igor Barreto. A lot of guys who are very new to Napa fan. As a matter of fact, the most experienced guy in the top 10, my guess would be Nick Smith in the 18, who's made the most starts of all these guys. Not much experience up front here at Charlotte. We'll have to see what Jonathan Raines does. I wouldn't expect him to stay out front for too long. He did not take tires on his pit stop, but Zach Winkle took 2. That'll be an advantage for Zach Winkle. Right on the back bumper of the 26, trying to pull away from the rest of the field. Nick Smith on Dan Park for 4th. And Winkle's going to stay behind Raines. We'll have to see what Jonathan Raines does here. Holding on to the race lead ahead of the number 15 of Zach Winkle, and now he's going to come down the pit lane. You know, I've seen this strategy play out before. Oh, brother! Christopher Altheby and around Gatlin Downey! Off the front bumper of Andrew Ross, and it's another pile up down the front straightaway here at Charlotte. Friesen, Matt Tuck, hard hit there. Another hard hit, Marty Johnson, Thomas Troxel as well. And our third caution of the night here in the World 500 at Charlotte. Matt Tuck is done. Carter Friesen is done. Julius Anderson is done. Oh, brother, a lot of guys done after this one. And it all started when Jonathan Raines came down the pit lane. He must have missed his pit stop, decided to stay on the racetrack, lead a few laps there, and come down. The caution is not going to save him because he will go a lap down on the 26, as that pit stop took a little too long to complete. Zach Winkle won the race back to the line in the 15, and that simply did not go to plan for any of these drivers. Christopher Altheby almost got smashed into Keyshawn Richardson. He was able to check it up, and because of that checkup, I think that's what caused Gatlin Downey to get spun. Marty Johnson, Matt Tuck, I believe that is Riley Sampson in the 12. Pretty sure. No, that's actually the 17 of Sebastian Kukulon. Excuse me there. Kukulon involved, Carter Friesen involved. Now, I don't know if these guys are going to be able to make it to the end of the race without having to come down again, because we came down like lap 39. Fuel window here is about 20 laps for these guys. Somewhere around that point. We've yet to see green flag pit stops in this race, and you know, that wreck right there is a very good reason why. Nicholas Sammy, last guy on the lead lap now in the number 7. Number 10 also out there. He will beat the pace car, so he'll stay on the lead lap. We'll have 26 guys on the lead lap once we're done. We can actually check to see who got knocked out in the first accident. It was actually only Fisher G and Austin Johnson. Everybody else was able to continue after that accident, but and another one, and it knocked out a few more guys. So let's go ahead and see what happened to bring up the third caution of the night here in the World 500 at Charlotte. And you see Jonathan Rains come down the pit lane. Alphabet had to check up, and all these guys on that inside lane were checking up because of him, except Andrew Ross. And Ross ran right in the Gatlin Downey, spun the 66 around. And that's one of the worst places to spin a guy around here at Charlotte. You're going to go through the grass and then come back up. I think Andrew Ross avoided this one, so Johnny Gardner, Shane Lake, they all avoid this. Kukulon does not. And these were a lot of guys who were actually involved in the first accident. Zachary Fitzwater avoided this one. Pretty sure. Larry Hagan, Andrew Ross avoiding it. Of course, Andrew Ross actually instigated the accident. Fitzwater avoids this one. The 75 of Adam Lewis barely avoids it, but here comes Matt Tuck into Carter Friesen, and Friesen came back down, and it was a roadblock for all these guys coming through. Alexander Rowe avoided it in the 93. But Marty Johnson did not, right into the 16, and massive contact for Marty Johnson. Thomas Troxel in the 10 just ran right into him. He turned into Marty Johnson. I don't know what the deal was there. Sam Medea was so far behind that he was able to avoid all this one, but tough break for Matt Tuck, Marty Johnson, Carter Friesen. They're all going to get knocked out after this one here at Charlotte. Replay this in real time. Nathan Stapleton right behind Gatlin Downey and Andrew Ross. You just see how fast he's going as he comes right into the 66. And Downey, yeah, he's going to be out of the race after that one, but you see Carter Friesen here in the number 16, and right there Matt Tuck hitting the 16, and then Marty Johnson and Thomas Troxel. It could have been a lot worse. We've seen a lot worse here at Charlotte before, but not exactly what those guys wanted here tonight in the World 500. It's a big race to win. We only had this thing one time before, and that was when we used the 2000 Cup package. And Elijah Gordon won that race, actually. So this race is won by a two-time Chick-fil-A Cup Series champion. And these guys are trying to win a race that has only been won by a two-time Chick-fil-A Cup Series champion. And the guy leading is Zach Winkle in his second career start. So pretty big deal here for Zach Winkle right now. We'll have to see what he does on the restart. They all stayed out, so still expect another pit stop in this race before we're done here at Charlotte. Going to be an interesting one for the 800th race on Napa Fan, the World 500 in the Craftsman Throwback Series. 21 laps to go when we get the restart here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and this could be the final restart of the day. Now, these guys are going to have to make another stop before the race is over. I would expect it to be well before the finish, but you never know how it can be sometimes. Pit strategy has come into play here at Charlotte many times before. Last year in the Coke 600 when Christian Vargas won, he came down the pit lane and the caution came out right when he came down. He was able to keep the lead as everyone else who had yet to make a pit stop had to come down, and they had to go to the end of the field while so many guys had already made their pit stop. Shouldn't expect that here today, but don't know what to expect in these final 21 laps with Zach Winkle and Riley Sampson 1-2. How about these rookies? I mean, they did exceptionally well at North Wilkesboro, a tough short track. And now here at Charlotte, they're dominating this race right now. Nick Smith, Dan Park, Ian Adams, Christopher Alphabet back in there. Keyshawn Richardson, Igar Barreto, Edwin Mendez, Nathan Faden, a lot of guys who haven't done too much on Napa. Not too many wins for a lot of these guys running up front. Looking to get a very important and big win here in the Craftsman Throwback Series. Winkle gets the jump on the start. Sampson tried to go up high. Here comes Nick Smith to the inside for the race lead. Yeah, you know what? He is going for the race lead. Who am I kidding? Got help from his teammate Dan Park on the inside. He's got the run to the inside of Zach Winkle. And he's going to take it away from the number 15 with 20 laps to go as they cross the line. Here comes Dan Park to the inside in the number 4. And Park is easily going to get to the inside. Nick Smith will lead the lap. But Park's got the run to the inside with all the help on the inside lane here. Ian Adams is there. In the number 35, Keyshawn Richardson, Igar Barreto, Edwin Mendez, and Jesse Turner. He is by far the most experienced guy in this top 10 right now. All the guys he's racing with, you know, if you add up all the wins by all the guys in the top 10, And then Jesse Turner. Jesse Turner probably has twice as many wins as the total amount of wins of all the guys running top 10 right now. Not including Jesse Turner, of course. That's how good Jesse Turner is. It's how long he's been around. Dan Park leading the field in number 4. Keyshawn Richardson for second on Ian Adams. We'll have to see if this 41 can get the run. He's got it. Edgar Barreto's here. You know, my money's on Jesse Turner in this race, guys. You know, he's been quiet all day, but he's got the experience. And you got to think, too, we still have green flag pit stops left to go. If this thing stays green, they will have to come down again. But, I keep my eye on that number 99. He knows what he's doing out here, going for his 17th career Napa fan win here tonight. With that, he would tie John Arndt on the wins list at 3rd if he were to get the race victory. John Arndt went to 3rd all by himself yesterday in the IROC Series. Jesse Turner trying to join him. We'll have to see if he can do so. For the race lead, Edgar Barreto is closed in on Dan Park. To the inside, Barreto's going to get it there on the inside of the number 4. And inside lane's not moving up as well. Keyshawn Richardson doing a good job up top, but Edwin Mendez has some help there on the inside lane from Jesse Turner. But, you know, Richardson got the run up top again, and that 41 is fast. Dive to the inside, blocked Mendez, and, you know, the outside lane's working pretty well. These guys, they have some worn tires right now. The tires are warning these guys, and that outside lane's working pretty well because of it. Barreto unable to lead the lap. They've been side by side for quite a while. For an entire lap, they've been side by side, and they're going to remain that way. Dan Park hanging tough up top here at Charlotte. But Keyshawn Richardson might make it 3 wide for the race lead if he wants to. He can do it. He's going to push Barreto past the 4. Barreto's going to get a lap lead right here, but it looks like it's getting tougher to pass out there. The worn tires making it a little bit more difficult. Turner's going to get pushed in the middle as Nathan Faden goes to the inside of him. And Turner up top in the 99. Here we go. We're closing in on lap traffic. Nicholas Amadio and Thomas Troxel both heavily slow on the racetrack. Barreto's going to easily get by him because, oh my, look at that speed difference. That is dangerous. Oh, and there we go again. Nice save there by Nick Smith to the number 18. He almost got spun around off of, I believe it was Nathan Faden, and he saved it through the corner, and now Jesse Turner. Well, I wouldn't have my money on Turner anymore. He got stuck behind Sam Adio, and this is not working out too well for driver number 99. Sam Adio and Troxel are tremendously slow. They do not need to be on the racetrack right now. They have way too much damage. And they are definitely affecting the outcome of this race. Landon Lyons, Johnny Gardner getting around. Turner is still yet to get around Thomas Troxel. He's finally going to do so. That's going to end any chance for Jesse Turner getting this race victory here tonight. Shane Lake, Christopher Alphaby, Zachary Fitzwater, John Arndt. You see Adam Lewis, Larry Hagan back in there as well. Alexander Rowe with a lot of damage. And Keyshawn Richardson, the race leader. And now we're spread out here at Charlotte. First time we've seen this all night. And it's a 3-horse race for the lead. Edgar Barreto, Keyshawn Richardson, Edwin Mendez, all trying to get the race victory in the World 500. Barreto will be a great guy to win this race. He's yet to win a race this season. As a matter of fact, I think he only has 1 career Napa fan win. He's a really good owner. His driver, Trey Bartow, in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series won in North Wilkesboro last weekend, and he's looking for a win himself. He's going to be in the Indy 250 as well. He wants some mojo heading into that race on Saturday. And he might get it right here if he gets the race victory here tonight at Charlotte. And the good thing about these guys getting spread out like this, if we get green flag pit stops, they'll be able to come down fairly easy without there being much of an effect. So hopefully that's the case. See a lot of guys slow on the racetrack, but they're going to hit Alexander Rowe next in number 93, and it's going to be soon, but they will be able to get around them a little bit easier now that they're not in a huge pack. But you can see how spread out they are now. Ian Adams on the 18 of Nick Smith there. These guys are closing in on the race leaders. That's the downforce for you. The draft is highly significant here at Charlotte in these trucks. 10 laps to go. Here we go again. They're going to hit Alexander Rowe. Keyshawn Richardson trying to use Rowe as a pick, and he's not going to really get it. He will. He's got it. And Edgar Barreto stuck on the outside. He's going to fall back to at least 7th. He's got a really big gap awaiting him from Dan Park back to Nathan Faden. 26 is a lap down, but he is running just as fast as everybody else. Nathan Stapleton has kind of creeped himself into the top 10, and that's what he did in North Wilkesboro last weekend. He got himself a race victory. Will Stapleton go 2 in a row here, get his 9th career Napa Fan win? Very possible. Very possible for Nathan Stapleton there, as he's running 9th right now, about 2.5 seconds behind the race leader, who is now Keyshawn Richardson in the 41. I expect these guys to come down again. I really think we're going to have another set of pit stops in this race, because the last pitted about lap 38. That was over 20 laps ago, and like I said, the fuel window here about 20, 22, 24 laps, around that is my guess. Might not be the actual fuel window for these guys, but it's my guess. One guy who has really crept his way up here as well is Ian Adams. Of course, guys like Nick Smith, Edwin Mendez, Keyshawn Richardson, they've been up front for quite a while. Zach Winkle as well, but Ian Adams has now found himself inside the top 5. Park to the inside of Winkle. Mendez to the inside of Richardson for the race lead. Edwin Mendez taking it away in the number 3. Here comes Nick Smith. Nick Smith has a run to the inside now on Edwin Mendez, and help from Ian Adams. And here comes Nick Smith to the inside. He's going to take it away, or try to at least. And here we go. We're going to hit Sam Adio and Troxel again. I'd venture to say this will be the last time we do if this thing stays green, but this is definitely going to have an effect on who gets the race victory. Keyshawn Richardson just pushed Edwin Mendez past Nicholas Samadio, but Mendez got held up there by Troxel, and Mendez is not going to be too happy with the number 10 after that move. But Richardson really pushed that number 3 past Samadio, and hello to Nathan Stapleton. He has joined the end of this lead draft, and you gotta watch out for this guy. A win at Charlotte in the World 500 would mean quite a bit for Nathan Stapleton. Elijah Gordon, the only other past winner of this event. And if Stapleton were to get it, it'd be a pretty big win for him, and win number 9 on his career. And back-to-back wins for Nathan Stapleton in the Craftsman Throwback Series, if he were to get it. But we're closing in on the finish of this race. We're closing in on a time where if we get a caution, the race will end. But Dan Park to the inside of Edwin Mendez. And when are these guys going to come down? I'm beginning to wonder if they have to. I really am. Got 2 times on the pit stops. It's about, I just don't know. I might be very wrong about my guess on the fuel window, guys. You can never listen to me on that. You can never trust me when it comes to fuel strategy. I would never make a good crew chief. Here we go. It's 4 laps to go, and Igor Brito taking the race lead away from Dan Park. Is anybody coming down back in the field? Nobody is. We might not end up with another pit stop in this race. Keyshawn Richardson really fell back. Trey Bartow, Jesse Turner, and Nick Smith also fell back tremendously. Remember, he was up front there not too long ago. They have fallen back now, but Trey Bartow back inside the top 10 after he fell back early on in the race. He's helping Keyshawn Richardson push his way to the lead draft, but how hard it's been the pass as of late, at least move your way through the field as of late. Single file racing not too friendly to those guys who are trying to move their way through the field. I really don't think guys like Stapleton, Ian Adams, or, well, Jonathan Raines is a lap down. I really don't think those guys can get to the race lead before the end of this race. I think anyone from Zach Winkle on up can win it, but other than that, nobody else is going to have a chance, I do believe. And Igor Barreto continuing the lead. It's 2 laps to go on the World 500. We'll double check and make sure that nobody's coming down, and nobody is. So my guess would be that they are good to go on fuel. And the reason why I thought it was about 20 laps is because we had that Sam Adio incident. I thought Sam Adio was coming down then to begin green flag pit stops. Apparently that was not the case, and Dan Park has just taken the race lead away, coming to the white flag in the World 500 in the Craftsman Throwback Series. And he's got a big lead as well, but they're going to close in on Larry Hagan on the final lap of this event. Will Dan Park get the win? His brother won on Tuesday in the Hers Elimination Series in Indianapolis. And will Dan Park keep the Park name in victory lane here in Indy 250 week? To the inside of Larry Hagan. He's got him cleared. Barreto. Will he have a chance of getting to the inside of Dan Park? No, he won't. Dan Park's gonna win the World 500 here at Charlotte in the Craftsman Throwback Series. How about that one? They were able to make it. I apologize about thinking that these guys weren't, but I think it's better to expect them to be able to make it and them come down, so not too much lost right there. And Dan Park, how about the Park family this week? Ben Park won in his first career start at Indianapolis on Tuesday, and today, Dan Park gets it done for what I believe is only his second career Napa fan win. His first one came, I believe, it was at Boston in season number 4 of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it's been a while since Dan Park's last one here on Napa Fan, and he's got it done here today at Charlotte, making the pass on Edgar Barretta with 2 laps to go. And Dan Park, your race winner here on the World 500 at Charlotte for race number 2 of the season in the NOFSRL Throwback Series. Well, that was a long and lengthy race for these guys. It'll definitely be the longest race of the season. Dan Park, Edgar Barretta, Nathan Faden, Nathan Stapleton finishing 4th. I'd expect Stapleton to remain in the points lead at the end of the day. Edwin Mendez, Zach Winkle with another great run. As a matter of fact, that might be the second time in a row he's finished 6th in this series. Ian Adams, Trey Bartow, Keyshawn Richardson, and Nick Smith rounding out the top 10 here from Charlotte. Take a look at the rest of the results right there. Remember, Casey Russell had his issue earlier on in the race. Austin Johnson, Fisher G, Gatlin Downey, Julius Anderson, Carter Friesen, Marty Johnson, Sebastian Kukulon, Matt Tuck, all out of the race due to crash damage. Larry Hagan, Jonathan Rames had a bad strategy. That's why he ended up a lap down. But Larry Hagan, Shane Lake, Alexander Rowe, Thomas Troxel, and Nicholas Samudio all lap down because of crash damage. And you see Zachary Fitzwater, John Art, Adam Lewis, Landon Lyons, a lot of those guys also had crash damage in this race, which is why they did not finish as close to the leaders as you would have expected. But either way, definitely a fun race. Bit of a taste of what we're going to see in the Coke 600 Saturday night. Looking forward to that event there. It's going to be a fun one here from Charlotte in the longest race of the season in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, right after the Indianapolis 250. We had qualifying earlier today, but I've yet to record it myself, so I don't know what's going on. I will like to let you know that at this point of recording this race, I've already recorded the Indy 250 and the Freedom 50. I did the Indy 250 first, and I did the Freedom 50, and I did this race. I'm going backwards. I know it seems silly, but we'll get everything set. The last race I will record will be the last race of Indy 250 week, the Coke 600, so we'll finally get it straight then. But either way, congratulations to Dan Park on his race victory here tonight at Charlotte. Good luck to him. Good luck to all the guys racing here tonight in the Indianapolis 250. As a matter of fact, the top 3 drivers are all going to be in the Indianapolis 250. And Nathan Stapleton has a development driver in the Indianapolis 250. So good luck to those guys in the Indy 250 this year for 2019. A fun race here at Charlotte. Dan Park, the race winner. Next race here in the Craftsman Throwback Series at Pocono for the Pocono 300. I think it's 300. Might be 400. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll be heading down to the Tricky Triangle next week. I believe that's going to be a Friday race for those guys, so first time for Friday. It's been Thursday night for these guys, first 2 races of the season. Should be a Friday afternoon event for these guys from Pocono. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Tomorrow, it's carb day for the Indianapolis 250. Got the final practice session, and then the Freedom 50 at noon Eastern Time. That's going to be a fun race, because I already did it, just did it, and I can tell you, it's fun. That's all I'm going to say. Congratulations to Dan Park on his race victory in the World 500. Here are the point standings after 2 races in the 2019 Craftsman Throwback Series. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Freedom 50 from Indianapolis. I will see you guys later.